Good evening and welcome to the September 20th, 2022 meeting of the Abington Board of School Directors. I note the attendance of all board members. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The Abington Board of School Directors has convened this evening's meeting at the Administration Building, and the public is welcome. In consideration of the health and safety of the school community, this meeting is also being broadcasted live on the Abington School District YouTube channel. This meeting is being recorded and will be accessible on the district's website and cable channel no later than Friday, September 23rd, 2022, to allow those members of the public who cannot participate to view the proceeding at a later time. I remind you that voices here are respected and we treat everyone with dignity, and we are proud to serve as your board representatives. Comments from citizens will be conducted in person and by phone. Information regarding participating remotely in public comment will be displayed on the screen at the time of public comment. The board thanks the public in advance for its cooperation. I do want to bring to your attention agenda item number 14 tonight, which is the renewal of Dr. Fetcher's contract. I would just like to share with you that we have reviewed contracts from superintendents in neighboring districts. We have looked at their salaries, we looked at the market, and we all agree that Dr. Fetcher is worth more. Let me bring that back a bit. We appreciate everything that you do, and we believe that the salary that is being recommended tonight from our board members is something that is comparable and is well-deserved. I can also speak to who you are as a superintendent. I admire your leadership skills. I love how you are present. The staff here knows who you are. The students know who you are. My children know who you are, and not because their mom is the president of the school board, but because they see you. They see you during community events, and I appreciate your presence in the community. I appreciate your strong leadership. I appreciate your innovative ideas and how receptive you are to new ideas. I also appreciate that you keep students at the center of your decision-making, and you're very community-minded. So we are thankful to have you leading this district, and we know should we pass the 5-year contract that you will continue to do great things in Abington. So we thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, are there any additional items that may be brought about from my fellow board members? Okay, we'll open up with comments from my fellow board members. Mr. Allen.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. So, yes, so tonight there's two big agenda items. We have the renewal of Dr. Fetcher's contract as superintendent, and us as a board, it's one of the three big things that we do. We set policy, we set the budget and our spending, and then we hire and evaluate the superintendent. So this is a significant night for us as a school district to be hopefully renewing Dr. Fetcher's contract for an additional 5 years. And he has served the students and the staff of this district and the community at large second to none. You know, as many of you know, I work in the district myself, and while my superintendent at my job is wonderful too, if you're watching, he's not. But Dr. Fetcher truly is, he's an educational leader, and he's a downright just caring human being, which I don't work for him, but I see some head nods in the room, so I'm really excited about that. And then the other important agenda item, amongst others, is we're going to vote to replace Ms. O'Rourke's board seat. So we had, as you all know, or you may know, we had public interviews last week, and I was really impressed with the quality of candidates that came out. It's a really tough decision because Typically for school board, you're voted on by thousands of people. This, because it's just a short term until the election, it's by 8. So it really weighs on you with what your vote is going to be, at least, sharing from my perspective. And to be clear, a vote for someone of one of the candidates is not a vote against one of the others. It's just, for me, it's what I think would fit with us best. And it's not that more people wouldn't. So if you're in the audience and you were one of the people that interviewed, then you don't get voted on tonight. It does not mean you were not equally as qualified to sit here as any of us. It's just, that's how it plays out for tonight. But I encourage you to run when the open elections are open. I think, President Brown, that's it for me.
Thank you very much. Ms. Frazier.
Thank you, Dr. Fetcher, for your continued leadership, and that's about it.
Thank you. Mr. Kay.
Nothing at this time, thanks.
Dr. Mowry.
I'd like to second your remarks about Dr. Fetcher. He has been an unparalleled partner during my time on the board, always ready to have conversations about policy issues and look at things from different perspectives. And from where I sit, that's one of the finest characteristics that a leader can have. So looking forward to serving together with you more and approving your contract this evening. I wanted to thank everyone who came out for interviews for the vacant board seat last week. And also thank you for making it a really difficult decision. I think that our neighbors' dedication and commitment to the district, to the students, to the families is really impressive, and I think it's one of the things that makes us Abington, that we stick together and we're willing to sort of put our shoulders to the wheel. So thanks to everyone who showed up last night, and it was a difficult decision, is a difficult decision.
Thank you. Mr. Muhammad.
I just want to echo the sentiments about Dr. Fetcher. Looking forward to working with you for the next several years and getting to know you better as a leader as well as an individual. And looking forward to deliberating about the candidates who came out and really showed us so many great things about our community, and making a decision and getting a new colleague to come and sit on the dais with us.
Thank you. Ms. Fazy.
I also want to echo the sentiments, Dr. Fetcher. I've been impressed by your leadership and much appreciate you. And I also want to thank all the candidates who came out for the interviews. I was really impressed by the candidates and thought for a great while this week about various statements the candidates made in the interviews. And I feel as though they weren't only interviews, they were also sharing of ideas and of things to consider as we continue to approve policy and move forward in the district.
Thank you. Dr. Kleiman.
Ditto everything my colleagues have said. Dr. Fesher, it's been a pleasure working with you. I look forward to continuing our work together with you and the board. I think my colleagues have laid out all the reasons why you've been such a great leader, so I won't belabor the point. I know how comfortable you feel being praised publicly, so I will just leave it at my colleagues' statements. And similarly for the open board seat, I was really pleasantly surprised at the number and quality of candidates who came forward. And this will be a very difficult decision, and I'm grateful for that. And I do hope that for the folks who, unfortunately, I wish we had 3 or 4 seats that we could fill. We only have 1. And I do hope that the folks who aren't seated tonight continue to participate in the district and continue to put forward your obvious passion for this community that we all really care about. So, thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Fetcher.
First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for your kind comments, but mostly your support over the past few years. As coming to be a superintendent within this district takes a positive relationship with the board and listening and, give and take relationship as well. I came to the district in 2007 as a principal and had the opportunity to serve as a principal elect at Willow Hill Elementary School for a short time, and then Abington Senior High School, and followed by that, the assistant superintendent of this district. And there's nothing more than I would desire to remain in Abington School District and to continue to lead and serve this community. We have grown as a district, and we continue to soar forward, and I am excited about the future and want to be the person leading this district. So I thank you all for your kind words, and as you mentioned, thank you, and I'll move on from there. In terms of our candidates for the board position, on behalf of the Abington School District administration and staff, I'd like to thank all of those who came out and took the time to come out to interview for this. I appreciate all the efforts that you brought. I also appreciate having the opportunity to listen to the interviews, all the countless hours of volunteers the candidates brought to Abington School District and have done for Abington School District, both in the past and plans for the future. It is so essential that we have a positive relationship with our community, and the support of the community through different opportunities and committees served. The hours were countless, and it was amazing to have the opportunity to sit there as a non-voting member and just listen. And so I appreciate that. And those of you who are not selected this evening, I just encourage you to continue working with the school district. There are many capacities and many ways to get involved. So, that's something that we have available, and from committees to different volunteer efforts. So I just encourage you to continue. Thank you.
Thank you. And this evening, we have 3 opportunities for comments from citizens. Right now, we are at agenda item number 2. Comments from citizens on agenda items regarding 3.1 and 3.2, nomination and appointment of a new board member, only are being conducted both in person and by phone. The phone number to participate in public comment is on the screen now. It is 267-715-3717. You will be able to join the meeting by calling in on your landline or mobile phone. And again, this is for the nominations of the new board member. So Mr. Lutz will give that a moment. If there are any comments from citizens within the room, there are mics to the left and to the right of you. Please be sure to state your name and address.
Hi, I'm Joe Rooney. I live on Maple Avenue. Thank you for having that interview process and for the special comments section. I would like to put my endorsement with Pete Morse. Pete has had a tremendous amount of experience on the school board. He would be a voice of reason on the school board. He would be a foil to bounce ideas against rather than just having 8 head noddings. And I really think Pete brings a very professional perspective from his time on the school board, from his incredible time in the community, and working with different administrations here that would be very helpful for our next year. Thank you.
Thank you for your voice. Anyone else from within the room? Mr. Lutz?
Our next citizen for public comment is phone number ending in 5899. Please state your full name and address.
We can hear you. If you can hear my voice, please remember to state your full name and address.
Hi, this is Kelly Kolb on Tyson Avenue. I'd like to say good evening and to the members of the board and Abington citizens here. I'm calling in to voice my support for Rachel Thomas for the open seat on the school board. I've known Rachel for several years now through both school events, community involvement in the Girl Scouts, and resulting friendship from taking part in all of those together. I've hoped for quite some time now that she might decide to run for board, so this has been a really nice timing. Rachel's somebody who has always stayed involved in the school and in the district. She's completely dedicated to contributing to a safe, positive school environment for all of our kids. She's caring, committed, she exhibits clear judgment, great perspective, and she really has a sense of collaboration that I think will be great in working together with the board. I think she'd be a valuable member of the board and an asset for our community if you vote for her as board member. Thank you for taking our comments.
Thank you for your voice. Anyone else from within the room? Mr. Letts, can you confirm that there are no additional callers on the line?
That is confirmed.
At this time, we'll move forward with agenda item number 3. I open the floor to my fellow board members for nominations for the appointment of a new school board member.
President Brown, excuse me, I would like to nominate Erin Glasser for the vacated school board director position for a term ending December 4th, 2023.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations?
I would like to nominate Rachel Hartman for that same position.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations?
I would like to nominate Rachel Thomas for that position.
Thank you. Are there any further nominations?
I'd like to nominate Nicole Gessing.
Thank you. Are there any further nominations? Seeing that there are none, I move to motion to close nominations.
Second.
I don't need a second. I just,
No, Mr. Muhammad is making the motion.
oh, thank you. I apologize.
I move to close nominations.
Second.
Thank you. Nominations are closed. At this time, the floor is open to deliberate.
If it's okay with my colleagues, I'll jump in since I did the first nomination. So first of all, I want to say that all of the candidates that have been nominated tonight, I think are phenomenal candidates, and I think any of them would serve us and the district very well. So I just want to be very clear about that this is really splitting hairs in a very, very difficult decision.
May I interrupt for
yes,
one
you
brief
may.
moment? I want to make sure that I'm operating in decency and order. Do I need a voice vote to close nominations? Or am I okay to go into deliberations without closing? I have a second.
If there are no further nominations, then you can proceed without it. Since you took the motion in the second, we should get a vote to close the nominations. I apologize.
Okay. A voice vote? A voice vote to close nominations. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you for that point of clarification. Nominations are closed, and I apologize for the interruption.
That is okay. I'm going to go try to find my train that left the station. So I think I was saying that all of the folks who've been nominated tonight, I think, would be phenomenal colleagues. I think for me, I was really looking for what candidate brought a perspective that we don't currently have on the board. And I felt like Ms. Glasser offered a new and different perspective that we don't already have. Of course, the other folks who've been nominated, certainly have varied perspectives and points of view, so I don't want to dismiss that at all, but I just felt like her experience and expertise gave us, would be an opportunity to kind of have a different perspective than we've had on the board thus far. And so that was the impetus for that nomination.
Thank you.
And so, Dr. Kleiman, along those same lines, and I feel Erin is equally as fantastic. For Nicole, or Ms. Gessing, bringing an outside perspective to the board, and yet she's still intimately connected with runnings of the district, being president of many councils and clubs, and athletic, I think, coach at some point. So she's an outside perspective, but connected, which is what I think would have a nice complement to our board, to the school board.
One of the reasons I was interested in supporting Rachel Hartman was the amount of citizens who had reached out in support of her as well. I thought that spoke to the sort of person that she is in the community that I heard from. Again, like everyone's saying, it is an incredibly difficult situation this time around for sure. There are so many great people, but listening to what people had brought to me made me feel that she was the one I was going to support from those voices.
When hearing from Ms. Thomas, I recognized a deep and authentic passion for students. I also recognized a different perspective that's not on the board. I saw someone who is active in this community and active outside of this community. Her approach to problem solving is unique, and I think she would be an excellent contribution to this assortment of fine people.
You know, it's interesting that I agree with everything that was said, and that's why this is such a difficult decision. And because this deliberation had to take place in the public, if it appears that we're not on the same page, I think everybody's on the same page because I agree with everything everybody said. So truly, a vote for one is not a vote against you if you're out there in the public. So,
I agree with that statement. All four of the nominees did a fabulous job last week.
so it would be down to the 8 of us coming to a consensus, which is one of the questions we asked the candidates about consensus building. A consensus on who, and it's not even who's the best because they're all really good, just who's going to fill that role.
So, in considering the candidates that I brought forth in nominations, I had written little notes about each of them when I was going during the interviews last week, different things that they said that impressed upon me. And I'll say that Ms. Gessing, she brought a perspective of a parent in the district and also a volunteer in the district for a good deal of time. The way that she answered a question, I remember it, we asked for the successes and challenges within the district, and she answered the challenge of communication, which as a parent, I say now, but I don't think I would have thought to answer that way. And so that really impressed upon me. This person has insight, they understand, what our challenges are, and they have a good finger on the pulse. And I really appreciated that, and I feel as though that's what she would bring to us, and that would be a good strength to us.
I'm good with wait time. This is what I do.
Yeah, I think Dr. Kleiman described this as splitting hairs, and it is. Each of the nominees potentially brings to the board a different skill set and different value. And I think any one of them would be fantastic on the board. I think for me, Ms. Glasser stood apart in part for her perspective on the value that diversity brings to an organization and the way in which it improves the health of an organization. I think her experience as a coach and in higher ed would be equally valuable to us.
Go.
Sorry, I do agree, Melissa, and I mean, and this is not to say in any way I'm voting tonight, but it was impressed upon me when I read Erin's and I reviewed everything, that I feel as though Erin is one of her strengths is problem solving and collaboration, and I felt as though that really came through in the interview.
And to piggyback off of what you said about the diversity, when commenting about the libraries and the benefits of libraries, she said that, of course, it connects to the real-world events, and it gives individuals opportunities to exceed, considering there are plenty of people who are not in position to pay for courses like Coursera or other supplemental enrichment type programs, and people who are not in position, she thinks that the libraries would be extremely beneficial for those individuals as well, to be able to explore other worlds, as she says.
She said libraries provide equity.
Yeah.
Ms. Thomas said libraries are a place for students to call home. All right,
Struck me as well.
A very difficult decision, but one that has to be made. I do not disagree, as Mr. Allen has said, with any of the comments that were made, and most of the things that I thought to say, you have said already. If I had to choose tonight, which I do, although it's very hard, I would say that my top two would be Ms. Thomas for her deep and thoughtful responses for diversity, equity, inclusion, which is very near and dear to some of the policies that have been recently passed, as well as the past practice prior to this board of focusing in on making sure that all students feel a sense of belonging so that they can learn and be their best selves in these environments, as well as Erin Glasser, whose problem-solving responses were also very impressive. So those would be my top two, and in a moment, I will have to give my top one. But that's where my my thought process is. Ms. Hartman and Ms. Gessing definitely right up there with the total four. But today, we have to make a difficult decision, and those are my top two. Are there any other comments to be made at this time from my fellow board members? And we all understand that we need a vote of 5. Okay. At this time, I'm going to do a voice vote, and when I call your name, I'm going to ask that you identify the candidate that you would like to take the seat. Okay? Mr. Allen?
I'm Ms. Glasser.
Ms. Frazier?
Glasser.
Mr. Kay?
Ms. Thomas?
Dr. Mowry?
Ms. Glasser.
Mr. Muhammad?
Ms. Thomas.
Ms. Fazy?
Ms. Glasser.
Dr. Kleiman?
Ms. Glasser.
And for myself, Ms. Glasser. Ms. Young, Mrs. Young, can you please confirm that that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 votes for Ms. Glasser?
That's correct.
Thank you. So, congratulations, Ms. Glasser. Oh, do I need a second?
No, that nomination, that election has taken place.
Thank you. Ms. Glasser, congratulations. We look forward to serving with you. Ms. Glasser, are you prepared to give the board secretary your financial statements and things of that nature, or do we already have it?
It has been sent in ahead of this meeting.
Thank you. With that being said, towards the end of the agenda item, we have the availability for you to be sworn in and for you to take your seat. Okay? Can you confirm that you have everything that you need, Mr. Lionetti? Thank you. Congratulations again. Dr. Fetcher, please proceed with this evening board honors.
All right. Thank you, Mrs. Brown. First, I have an announced honor. I'm proud to share that Abington School District was accepted into the League of Innovative Schools, a national coalition of forward-thinking K-12 school districts organized by Digital Promise, a global nonprofit working to expand opportunity for every learner by bringing together solutions across research, practice, and technology. Abington School District was selected from a competitive national pool of applicants on its educational leadership, demonstrated commitment to equity and excellence, innovative vision for learning, and key achievements. We are one of 150 school districts that make up the coalition across 38 states. And now for our honors this evening. I would like to invite Mr. Angelo Barrios to introduce Abington Senior High School student Jasmine Licari, the September 2022 Student of the Month at Eastern Center for School of Arts and Technology. Mr. Barrios.
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Fetcher, Ms. Brown, and members of the Board of School Directors. I'm delighted to recognize Abington Senior High School senior Jasmine Licari for being recognized as Eastern's Center of Arts and Technology September Student of the Month. At this time, I ask Jasmine to join me at the lectern. Jasmine is being recognized for her outstanding work in Eastern's Design, Photography, and Illustration program. The Student of the Month Award is sponsored by Eastern's Faculty Joint Operating Committee and the Willow Grove Rotary Club to highlight student excellence, success, and service. At Eastern, Jasmine was selected by her instructor to be the class representative for Skills USA, Eastern Student Leadership Organization, and was chosen to attend the Career and Technical Student Organization Fall Leadership Conference in November 2021. Jasmine received third place in the Skills USA local competition for a job interview in November 2021, and third place in the Skills USA student competition for t-shirt design in April 2022. At Eastern Awards Night in May 2022, Jasmine received the Straight A Award and the prestigious Director's Award at Abington Senior High School. She was named the President of the National Honor Society from September 2019 through October 2020. She participates in a student inclusion mission and is a member of the Key Club. Outside of school, she is a competitive ballroom dancer. According to her Eastern instructor, Nicola Bruzzi, quote, Jasmine is a strong leader who is always looking for new challenges. She excels in the program and exhibits strong communication skills, kindness, and compassion toward her peers, unquote. After graduation, Jasmine plans to attend post-secondary for fashion design or fashion journalism, Her top college picks are Moore College of Art and Design, Fashion Institute of Technology, Parsons School of Design, and the Pratt Institute. Ultimately, she would like to pursue a successful career in fashion for large companies such as Gucci or Louis Vuitton. Can help me with some suits. Or Joseph A. Bank. All right. I'm delighted to present Jasmine with a plaque to commemorate this outstanding achievement.
Brown, if I could just say something really quick. As the board representative for the Joint Operating Committee for Eastern, I always have the luxury of hearing the amazing Abington students. For the Student of the Month, we get far more than anybody else, which is so exciting for me to be able to finally say, because I can't say when the other board members are on. But Jasmine really stood out. I mean, the passion by which the teachers spoke of her, was so real and genuine, and they're excited for her. And I just want you to know that it really came through. What you do, what you can do, what you are doing really has affected the school, and your teachers are just thrilled beyond belief for you. So I wish you the best, but it was a thrill to hear about you.
If I can add, when we do these award ceremonies, looking at the pride on your face, but also looking at the pride on your parents' face definitely warms my heart. So congratulations, no worries. Congratulations. That's it.
No further honors this evening.
Thank you. Okay, given that we didn't have any additional agenda items, we're going to move forward with agenda item number 7. I'm sorry. Yes, there are 3 this evening. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Agenda item number 4 includes comments from citizens. Comments from citizens are being conducted both in person and by phone. The phone number to participate in public comment is 267-715-3717 and is presented on the screen at this time. You will be able to join in using your mobile or landline phone. There are also mics to the right and to the left of you within the building. Please be sure to state your name and address.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Joe Rooney again. A lot on the agenda. First, congratulations. That's wonderful. I really look forward to working with you. Second, Dr. Fetcher's contract's coming up, and it's always a difficult thing to talk about. I personally like Dr. Fetcher, and he's a good guy, but you all are representing the whole community here. It's a little bit on my fault. I haven't been keeping up. I didn't realize his contract was coming up, and I don't know if it was advertised. So what I'm hoping is when you have your discussion before the vote, maybe you could go over a few things. So from what I understand, the 2018 contract started with a base of $195,000 with a 2% or better improvement raise each year, and then $7,000 in a tax shelter to count each year, and then at least a $2,500 bonus based on his evaluation that you got. I think those numbers are correct. Then there was a $5,000 per year continuing education grant that was in there. Maybe you could explain also the per diem is his base salary, which is $195 plus whatever his raises were, divided by 227. So he's a salaried employee. I was just wondering, and I know that's the way it was with Dr. Sickle, but why isn't it based 52 weeks times 5 days is 260? So that adds into little things, but again, this is dollar and cents, and you kind of owe this to everybody to explain how you come up with this stuff. That's about a 15% raise for when he sells his vacation days back. There's also vacation days and sick days. Then as we get into this next one, the base salary is $255K, so that's $60,000 over the original, or roughly a 30% increase, slightly less than that. Instead of it being a 2% or greater raise, it's now the statewide base Act 1 index, and maybe you could explain that. And barring that, it's based on a Philadelphia CPI. 1 minute left, okay, thank you, sir. Then the bonus is up to $3,000. Continuing education doesn't have a limit on it in this new one, so is that because $5,000 wasn't enough, or just explain that? And then vacation days start at 23. So what I wish had happened was, we've had a crazy last couple of years. We've had 2 years with very limited schooling and a lot of learning loss. I wish we had discussed that, because that's an important thing for every parent and every taxpayer, is their learning loss and how we're going to address that. The second one I'm wondering is, was this advertised? Was anybody else interviewed? What could we get for $255,000? Again, nothing against Dr. Fetcher, like nothing against the people who didn't get chosen. But as taxpayers in Abington, what were our options? Do we have no discussion of what went wrong over the last 2 years? What did we do that was wrong? How could we have done it better? Why did we do it that way? And then, of course, with that is, what did we learn? Souderton stayed open the whole time. Catholic schools were open the whole time. We weren't. So
thank
I'd like
you.
to have some discussion on all of that, because this is an important job.
Thank you so much for your comments.
Oh, you're welcome.
Are there any other comments from within the room? Thank you. Please remember to state your name and address.
My name is Deborah Lee. I live on Turner Avenue. I am the president of the Abington Education Association, also a proud member of this community. I just wanted to welcome Ms. Glasser to the Abington family. We truly are family. And I wanted to thank you all because we were there with you for those interviews. And it was a long night, and you did an amazing job. And I feel you chose someone that is going to fit right on in with the rest of us. So from the teachers, we'd like to welcome you. We look forward to working side by side with all of you. And welcome to Abington. It's going to be a great ride. And thank you guys for all you do.
Thank you for your voice and your service. Mr. Lutz, can you confirm that there are no callers on the line?
That is confirmed.
And there are no other speakers from within the room? Okay. Dr. Fetcher, I'll take some of this since it pertains to your contract. In the beginning of my opening statements, I stated that the negotiations included looking at what other superintendents were compensated and making sure that we had a comparable package to offer him. As a teacher, I know what it feels like to go through different superintendents. And what we have here is worth keeping. So we are keeping him, and we are extending his contract for another 5 years under what you state, under the parameters that you have stated. Dr. Fetcher, anything else?
No, I just would like to welcome Ms. Glasser to the board and look forward to the relationship and working with you. And it is a key relationship to have with the board as the sole and the person hired by the board to run the district. We have to, I work very closely with the board members to ensure that you have everything you need to make the correct decisions and informed decisions. So I look forward to working with you as well. And I would just like to speak to one aspect of my contract, and that is in terms of advertising the contract. My contract has always been online and available for anyone in the public. And when we released the agenda items, not only on Friday, it was mentioned on Friday in our topics for the superintendent's contract, but the entire contract was released to the public yesterday, more than 24 hours in advance of this meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Fetcher. At this time, we'll proceed. Yes.
Could I just add something that, in terms of our, the kinds of things we looked at for Dr. Fetcher's contract, one of the things we took into account is that Abington is the third largest district in Montgomery County. Only North Penn and Lower Marion are larger than our district. Is that right? Yeah.
Thank you so much. Mr. Allen, agenda item number 7. Can you please read the recommendation for approval of the personnel addendum?
Yes, Madam President, it is the recommended action that the Board of School Directors approves the changes in personnel as reflected in personnel addendum number 7.1.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Dr. Fetcher?
Thank you, Mr. Brown. The personnel addendum begins with item number 1, the change of status of 4 teachers to serve as department curriculum leaders and 12 teachers to serve as team leaders. Under item number 2 is the request for leaves of absence for 3 professional employees. The personnel addendum continues with compensation for curriculum projects, professional development, kindergarten orientation, and IEP meetings, the hiring of substitutes and support personnel items as well.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board? Mrs. Young?
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Frazier?
Aye.
Mr. Kay?
Aye.
Dr. Mowry?
Aye.
Mr. Mohammed?
Aye.
Ms. Fazy?
Aye.
Dr. Kleiman?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown?
Aye. Ayes have it and motion passes. Mr. Allen, can you please read the recommendation for approval of the financial report?
Yes, President Brown, it is recommended action that the Board of School Directors approves the financial report for period ending August 31st, 2022, as reflected in addendum number 8.1.
Second.
We have a second, Dr. Fetcher.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. I'm going to ask Mr. Lionetti to please review the financial report.
Thank you, Dr. Fetcher. As of August 31st, we received $80.6 million of revenue, which is 47.8% of the $168.5 million revenue budget. Year-to-date, we've expended $15.3 million of the $180.9 million expenditure budget, which equates to about 8.5%. Through the same time period last year, $8.4 million were expended, which was 4.7% of the then $176.9 million budget. The difference is due to timing of payroll at the start of the school year. With respect to your capital projects, the district paid senior high school project contractors $172,000 in August. Typically, I may comment on the progress of the food service contract, but since we're in the first month of operation, we won't have a report till October. That's all I have for you, Dr. Fetcher. If there's any questions that the board may have, we'll do our best to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Lionetti.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from my fellow board members?
Mr. Lionetti, in terms of the revenue we've received, does that include school taxes collected?
Yes, it does.
Okay, and where are we relative to last year in terms of percentage?
Say that we're ahead. I can be more specific with you in a moment.
Okay, thank you.
As I open up my notes. With regard to real estate tax collections, we're ahead by $12.8 million when compared to the same time last year. That is due to the fact that the timing of the large mortgage company banks making their payments early in the discount period.
Okay.
Ahead of last year's timing.
Great. And thanks to everyone who's paying their taxes on.
Any additional questions or comments from the board? Mrs. Young?
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Frazier?
Aye.
Mr. Kay?
Aye.
Dr. Mowry?
Aye.
Mr. Mohammed?
Aye.
Ms. Fazy?
Aye.
Dr. Kleiman?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown?
Aye. Ayes have it and motion passes. Mr. Allen, can you please read the recommendation for approval of the payment of bills?
Yes, President Brown, it is the recommended action that the Board of School Directors approves the payment of bills for period ending August 31st, 2022, as reflected in Addendum 9.1.
Second.
We have a second, Dr. Fetcher.
I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have regarding the payment of bills.
Questions from my fellow board members?
I always have my same kind of question about where we are with charter schools. I was just kind of curious if we know, we have numbers where we are. Are they greater than last year? Or?
Yes. Mr. Lionetti, could you go through more specifically, if you have the information with you?
I do. Thank you, Dr. Fetcher.
Thank you.
I can answer that in a couple of ways, Mr. Kay. With regard to the 21-22 school year, we've just finished paying off all the reconciliation amounts as those schools, the charter schools, wind out their invoicing. And for the school year that just closed, we spent $2,075,800 for charter school students, of which there were 116 full-time equivalents. What I mean by that is that, some students will be in a charter school for a partial year, and the way the billing is reconciled, it's turned into whole students or partial, so it's always expressed in some kind of decimal. So it rounded out to 116 students, but we had as many as 130 students at any one time enrolled. With regard to this year, we have presently 105 students enrolled, and my forecast for this year is just over $1.8 million. So a slight improvement. Now, this can change over time, and we always have this information updated, ready if you have any questions.
Just curious about the ACE program. Do we know if we've increased it over last year, the student involvement, or?
Yeah, our numbers have increased in the last few years on ACE, partially due to students wanting to be in a virtual environment. And I do believe that we have continued to see those numbers decrease in the past year in terms of enrolling into our traditional program here at Abington.
We do have a policy, or maybe not, maybe policy is the wrong word, but we do approach students and their families who go to other schools to talk to them about coming to the ACE program.
Yes.
Any additional questions? Okay, Mrs. Young?
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Frazier?
Aye.
Mr. Kay?
Aye.
Dr. Mallory?
Aye.
Mr. Mohammed?
Aye.
Ms. Fazy?
Aye.
Dr. Kleiman?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown?
Aye, ayes have it, and motion passes. Mr. Allen, can you please read the recommendation for permits for use of buildings and grounds?
Yes, President Brown, it is the recommended action that the Board of School Directors approves the applications for permits for use of buildings and grounds as reflected in Addendum 10.1. All permits are subject to change per the provisions of the Health and Safety Plan pertaining to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Fetcher.
Yes, the permit addendum continues to reflect typical requests for buildings and grounds for meetings and other school events and activities for this time of year.
Thank you. Questions or comments?
Yeah, and Dr. Fetcher, so I know I've asked this before. When will we remove the last line of that about the health and safety to the COVID-19 pandemic? Or is that the health and safety, is that just?
We're still operating under a health and safety plan for the school district, and still required to have a health and safety plan. So that is a reason why we have to include that line.
Okay,
So when we're not required to have a health and safety plan for COVID-19.
I understand, yeah. Thank you.
I have a question. What's the play this fall?
I was thinking,
Do we know for the high school? What's the play?
Do we know what the high school play is for the fall?
first
Under lock and
debut.
key.
Make sure you have permission first before you.
Yeah.
I really had that question.
Has that been,
All right.
sometime,
Been released.
Has it been released? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because they do auditions in the spring, I think, for the fall.
For the fall?
Yeah.
Actually, now they're doing rehearsal auditions.
Rehearsals
we'll
or
get that
auditions?
information
Watching rehearsals.
Thank you.
yeah.
shortly.
I appreciate it.
very-
Any additional questions or comments from my fellow board members?
Also, the middle school play?
Yeah.
Actually, one of the benefits as a board member is that we get free tickets, so.
We will get that
Mr.
information.
File on this?
We have a new director and haven't decided yet.
Oh, okay.
From-
Not a problem.
Thank you.
All right.
Not a problem.
Please do.
We look forward to the special meeting when you will be announcing the,
No pressure.
I hope you are.
Thank you.
Too.
All exciting things. Any additional questions or comments from my fellow board members? Mrs. Young?
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Frazier?
Aye.
Mr. Kay?
Aye.
Dr. Mallory?
Aye.
Mr. Mohammed?
Aye.
Ms. Fazy?
Aye.
Dr. Kleiman?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown?
Aye, ayes have it, and motion passes. Mr. Allen, can you please read the recommendation for awards of contracts?
Yes, President Brown, it is the recommended action that the Board of School Directors approves the awards of contract as reflected in addendum number 11.1.
Second.
Dr. Fetcher?
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Tonight we have for your consideration 3 awards of contract and 1 contract change order. The first is for HVAC repairs for Overlook Elementary School, followed by student Chromebooks, and a water heater for Willow Hill Elementary School, and a change order to our replacement wrestling mats for Abington Senior High School.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board?
Dr. Fetcher, could you say why we went with the higher estimate for the HVAC for Overlook?
Yes, if you give me 1 minute. Just want to make sure. Would you, Mr. Berge, do you want to take that? I mean, I can.
Yes, actually, it was the lower price. Because this is a repair or service, it was very difficult. 2 companies gave us prices. One company gave us a price, I believe it was $26,000 for the compressors only, the only piece of this. Another company gave us a price of Lions gave us a price of $31,000. So we went with the company that gave us the price of $26,000 for the compressors. So the overall service, our fear was that the contractor that had the higher price would also have change orders because they didn't have additional lines potentially could have change orders because they didn't include other things that the first company did.
Oh, okay, I see. All right, thank you for that explanation.
So the CM3 Building Solutions, that's the 43,000. That includes the repair and the new item?
The 43,000 includes everything, whereas the 31,000, excuse me, line at 31,000, that was only for compressors and installation of the compressors. As they opened things up, they would find other things broken, and the thought was that it would exceed the original price by quite a bit, actually.
Okay, I understand. Okay.
So then we won't see change orders for this.
Certainly
never
hope
Get
not.
that on record.
Write down the day and time that we.
Noted.
The only other question I had is just the amount of quotes that we get. I see on some of these we only have 2, some we have 3, and I would imagine that you get 2 because you don't get a third, or is it a matter of they don't fulfill your need?
Yep, we have to pause the meeting. We are offline.
Thank you for your patience as we had to wait a moment for technology to boot back up. We were on agenda item 11.
So I'm going to ask Mr. Lionetti if you could please review the process for quotes, bids, advertisements, et cetera.
Certainly. Whenever we go out for bids or quotes, we identify as many qualified vendors as we can that we know or are familiar with that we can do the work. In some instances, we only get the responses that we get, and we show those to you on this addendum. Sometimes the respondents are not responsive to the specifications, so that limits the pool when we collect those. You'll notice that many of your awards have a CoStar's contract number beneath them. What that is that indicates that these vendors were identified by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania under their program called CoStars, of which there are many participants. So we often use that list and approach those vendors to provide a quote so that we can satisfy the bidding requirements of the state. I trust that answers your question, Mr. Kay?
Yeah, absolutely. I know that we always try to get at least 3. That's why when I noticed 2 for consecutively, I was wondering.
Understood. Thanks for asking.
Any additional questions or comments? Mrs. Young?
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Frazier?
Aye.
Mr. Kay?
Aye.
Mallory?
Aye.
Mr. Mohammed?
Aye.
Ms. Fazy?
Aye.
Dr. Kleiman?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown?
Aye. Ayes have it and motion passes. Mr. Allen, can you please read the recommendation for the adoption of instructional materials?
Yes, President Brown, it is recommended action that the Board of School Directors approves the instructional materials adoption for the 2022-2023 school year as reflected in addendum number 12.1.
Second.
Dr. Fetcher?
Thank you, Mrs. Brown. The Department of Teaching and Learning is recommending the adoption of supplemental instructional materials to be used during Read Aloud for our new elementary special area class, Creative Studies. These texts support our project-based units of instruction and are related to creativity, collaboration, critical thinking, and communication. They also support the development of literacy skills.
Questions or comments from my fellow board members?
I'd just like to ask if we could go really quickly through the process that we take to get these books.
Sure. I'm going to ask Dr. Butts to go through the process for the instructional materials.
Yes, these particular read-alouds were part of a previous adoption for project-based learning. So we had actually gone through the process of the project-based learning materials and resources, which were also part of the Creative Studies curriculum development process. And that particular process had a team of teachers coming together to work on that curriculum. And these particular stories were associated with that. We decided to bring forward all of these items as they are an integral part of those learning units and experiences.
And I noticed they have quite a year range, so it's not that you're necessarily just looking for brand-new text and things. You're looking for ones that represent what you need, what you are interested in conveying over a period of time.
Oh, yes, it's the focus of the learning experience for the project. So whatever the instructional goals or targets of that project, the literature really is a starting point that kind of kicks things off, engages the learner, motivates them to be more inquisitive about the project that is to follow. And so many of these it's more about the content of what it is as opposed to only finding a contemporary piece of literature. I believe that answers.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Butts.
Any additional questions or comments? Mrs. Young?
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Frazier?
Aye.
Mr. Kai?
Aye.
Dr. Mowry?
Aye.
Mr. Mohammed?
Aye.
Ms. Fazy?
Aye.
Dr. Kleiman?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown?
Aye, ayes have it, and motion passes. Mr. Allen, can you please read the recommendation for PSBA officer elections?
Yes, President Brown, it is the recommended action that the Board of School Directors cast its vote and register its selection with the PSBA for the following positions. 2023 PSBA President-elect Michael Gossert, 2023 PSBA Vice President Allison Mathis, 2023-2024 Section E Advisor, which is a 2-year term, Amy Goldman, 2023 to 2025 3-year term for PSBA Insurance Trust trustees, Kathy Swope and Roberta Marcus, and 2023 to 2024 School Board Secretaries Forum Steering Committee, which are 2-year terms, Tracy Long and Steve Skaraki.
Second.
We have a second. Dr. Fetcher?
Pretty self-explanatory, but this item is a resolution for voting for Pennsylvania School Boards Association officers, Section E4 advisors, PSBA Insurance Trust trustees, and School Board Secretaries Forum committee members.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Okay, thank you, Mr. Allen, for serving as our PSBA rep. We appreciate your service. Mrs. Young?
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Frazier?
Aye.
Mr. Kai?
Aye.
Dr. Mowry?
Aye.
Mr. Mohammed?
Aye.
Ms. Fazy?
Aye.
Dr. Kleiman?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown?
Aye, ayes have it, and motion passes. Mr. Allen, can you please read the recommendation for the superintendent employment contract?
Absolutely. President Brown, it is the recommended action that the Board of School Directors reappoint Dr. Jeffrey S. Fetcher, Superintendent of Schools, effective July 1, 2023 through June 30th, 2028, and approve the employment agreement as shown in addendum number 14.1.
Second.
We have a second. Are there any comments regarding Dr. Fetcher's contract?
I'd just like to say that this is a very competitive process when you look at superintendents. You have to look at the stability of the district. You have to look at the vision, the connectedness. There are a lot of superintendents that come and go, and it wreaks havoc on a district. Even though we have had otherworldly issues the last couple of years, Dr. Fetcher has done everything we could ask of him to right the ship. It's not perfect. Nothing has been perfect in the last couple of years. There's been a lot of difficulty. My own son did not excel during this time. It was a very challenging time. The teachers were phenomenal, and they pivoted in ways that we could not even imagine, but so did the administration, and so did the parents, and so did the kids. My feeling, I'm not one to just throw accolades around, so I'm not doing that. What I'm trying to do is say that when we looked at all these things, we wanted to treat Dr. Fetcher with respect, but we also have that responsibility to the community. Not only financially, but in a way emotionally. We needed that stability to keep us going. And during the conversations with that, I felt strongly that he is the right person to do it. He knows where he has succeeded. He knows where there are challenges, and this is going to be a process, but he has a great team, and I am happy to support the contract.
Thank you. Any additional comments?
I just, I don't think I could have said it any better than Mr. K expressed it, that, that we do have, especially coming out off the past year and a half, 2 years, we have a responsibility to the community and to our students in particular to provide a stable environment for them. And Dr. Fetcher not only does that ably, he does it exemplary.
I second that. And in regard to identifying where are areas of strength and needs of improvement, I applaud you for being transparent and putting the data up there. We have seen the data, the learning loss. We have seen the data when it comes to disciplinary actions. We've seen that. And some of that data is open to the public to view on our website. So I appreciate the transparency in saying that, no, it is not perfect. No, I am not satisfied. We have a lot more work to do, and we have plans to achieve those goals. So I applaud you for that. Any other questions or comments from my fellow board members? Mrs. Young?
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Frazier?
Aye.
Mr. Kai?
Aye.
Dr. Mowry?
Aye.
Mr. Muhammad?
Aye.
Ms. Fazy?
Aye.
Dr. Kleiman?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown?
Aye, ayes have it, and motion passes. Dr. Fetcher, is there anything you would like to say?
First of all, I'd like to say thank you for believing in me, and I look forward to leading this district, and it is a passion of mine, and I will continue to do everything I can to make improvements in this district and to continue to address issues when we have issues, and also just to ensure that we remember what our mission is here, and that's the children. And we're all here regardless of our role to ensure that our children receive a top quality education, which is the biggest benefit that any child, regardless of their background, can receive. And we remain committed to that. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that I would not be able to lead this district, especially through challenging times, without an excellent team of administrators, principals, our teachers, and who have gone above and beyond over the last few years in order to serve the children of this community. And there have been challenges, and to say that where are we with those challenges, we're not satisfied. I'm not satisfied with where we are, and we continue to work on ways to improve that. As I mentioned in the past board meetings, we constantly strive for those improvements, and it's part of our mission here as well. I would also like to thank all of the individual groups who have worked hard to make this over the past few years to keep us going, from our facilities department, our transportation department. We truly, our secretaries and aides, and everybody has worked together to make this happen and to get us through. And also, along the way, create an environment where we have improvement. And coming into this school year and looking at the accomplishments of a redesigned K-12 model, following some of the toughest years in educational history with the pandemic, is pretty amazing. And that doesn't happen because of me. It happens because of all the people who put forth that effort. And I just want to take a moment to thank all of you who've worked with me. This Abington family has been tremendous, and the staff and faculty and everyone here has been so supportive of me as a superintendent through these challenges, and I couldn't do it without you. Thank you.
I'm just going to clap for the administration. Yeah. Dr. Fetcher, any additional agenda items this evening?
I provide for you the conference attendance and professional leaves for your information. I'll bring your attention to Dr. Marla Wormley, who accompanied students to the Society of Black Academic Surgeons mentoring session in Philadelphia.
Thank you so much. And at this time, it takes us to Ms. Glasser. Ms. Glasser, if you could step up, we will proceed with the swearing in. Okay. And I'll join you if that's okay. Okay.
Yes, proceed.
Solemnly swear and affirm
That I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
and that I will discharge the duty, say that again,
And that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
and I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And welcome again. Comments from citizens are being conducted both in person and by phone. The phone number to participate in public comment is 267-715-3717 and is presented on the screen at this time. You can call in using your mobile or landline phone. Anyone present, please feel free to use the mics to the left and to the right, and be sure to state your name and address.
Debbie Lee, Turner Avenue. This is the executive board of the AEA, the Abington Education Association, and we would like to thank you wholeheartedly for extending Dr. Fetcher's contract. He's not our boss, he's our leader. A leader is someone you wish to follow and someone you want to make proud of. And we hope that we make him proud every day. For those that don't know, Dr. Fetcher harasses us all summer, and once he sees the PSSA scores, and he works diligently to help us, help our students reach the top of the top. We raise our expectations for all our students, and we will show you that they are making progress. They are moving forward. I would just like to thank all the administrators in this room. You guys are all our leaders, and we are very proud to be part of the Abington family. And I'm going to give a special shout out to Suzanne Alfonso. She's human resources, and she's the reason why most of us are standing here, because she hired us. And I would just like to say, I'm sorry, a personal note, but I can only be me, my authentic self. That was not very nice that you put Mr. Barrios on the hot seat. He is my brother from Puerto Rico. My maiden name is Barrios. He's concerned about family members right now, and that wasn't nice. But we love being a part of the Abington family. And Dr. Fetcher, you're stuck with us. Yay!
Again, thank you for your voice and your service. And also thank you, teachers and administration. I know it's been a very long week with the open houses, so we thank you for another long night.
President Brown, if I can just say, like, that's remarkable that the president of the association and the leadership and the superintendent have such a harmonious relationship. I'm sure sometimes it's maybe not as pretty, but it's really remarkable that the leadership of the Teachers Association and then the administration just gets along so well, and that harmonious relationship, definitely the students feel every day. They might not realize what it is, but that is a direct impact to students. So thank you to the association leadership and President Lee and Dr. Lee. Or Dr. That's my superintendent, Dr. Fetcher.
I was going to look over this way.
The other guy.
I mean, you
Thank
can say that I'm better than him. It's
Yeah.
okay. I will let him know.
And on that note, I'm going to open the floor back up for comments from our citizens as well as our phone lines, comments from our citizens. Seeing that there are no additional comments from within the building, Mr. Lutz, can you confirm that there are no callers on the line?
That is correct.
Mr. Barrios is resourceful and does have the answer to the questions.
Okay, the fall play is the Greek mythology Olympia Ganza. That starts on Thursday, November 17th, Friday the 18th, and Saturday the 19th. The spring musical is Footloose. That begins March 3rd and through the rest of the weekend, and we'll have a matinee.
Thank you.
Excellent.
I-
Thank you.
I would just like to say to Mrs. Lee, I had every confidence he would rise to the occasion.
Thank you so much. That'll conclude our comments from citizens, and we'll have comments from our board directors. Mr. Allen,
I said enough tonight. Thank you.
Ms. Frazier.
Congratulations, Ms. Glasser, on your appointment as a board directors for Abington. And of course, Dr. Fetcher, you've got a lot of accolades today. So again, congratulations to you. And Mr. Barrios, I could definitely relate in that my daughter moved to Puerto Rico last month to start her career. And, so my heart goes out to you and your family as well.
Mr. Kay.
No, thank you.
Dr. Mowry.
Just thanks for our Teachers Association for showing up tonight. Congratulations to Ms. Glasser, and welcome to the board. And I know you're probably all glad to have back to school night, week, year wrapping up. So, looking forward to a good year, and an extra special thanks to Mr. Barrios for being resourceful.
Thank you. Ms. Glasser, any comments?
Just thank you very much. I'm honored. Thank you for your kind comments and welcomes. I appreciate that, and I look forward to working with all of you and serving on the board.
Mr. Muhammad.
Congratulations to Ms. Glasser, my new dais neighbor. Dr. Fetcher. I want to acknowledge Hispanic Heritage Month, which began on September 15th and goes through October 15th. Also, sending well wishes and prayers to the people of Puerto Rico, many of whom are still in the dark. And I did want to commend the administration and the teaching and learning team on the creative studies curriculum, the expansion of project-based initiatives, as those are the most authentic assessments and benefit our students greatly.
Indeed. Ms. Fazy.
Also, congratulations to Ms. Glaser and Dr. Fetcher. It's exciting. This is a very exciting night, and it's exciting to see. I'm excited to see what's going to come in the future. I feel as though there's good things ahead. Also, I wanted to go ahead and just say it's great to see everybody from Abington Education Association out tonight. Also, I wanted to, again, thank everybody, all the candidates who interviewed, and to let them know that I hope to see their continued involvement in the district and possibly run in the next election. And last thing, I was at the vaccination clinic this past weekend, and it was excellent. I was able to get myself and all my kiddos done in like 10 minutes. It was a wonderful event, and I thank the district for going ahead and facilitating that.
Thank you. Dr. Kleiman?
I am always grateful that I live in this community, but tonight I am especially grateful. So thanks to all of you for all of your hard work, and it's really deeply appreciated by not just myself, but I know many people who are not here. So thank you.
Dr. Fetcher?
Once again, welcome, Ms. Glasser, and I want to thank all of you once again for believing in me, and thank everyone for your support.
Thank you. It is our pleasure to serve. This meeting is adjourned. Have a good evening.
Have a good night.